There are 3 routes families can take when wanting to adopt a child, all of which should include the help of a qualified attorney. Joining us during National Adoption Month with some insight into this process is attorney Tasha Kotz, founder of the Law Office Tasha J. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So we've spoken on this subject in the past, but speaking specifically to adoption, there are 3 routes.
There are.
And what are those routes?
You could do a private route with a private attorney. There's obviously a route where you could go through DSS, or there's an agency route, which are also private adoptions, but done through different sorts of agencies.
Is there one route versus the other, one path versus the other that is maybe simpler than the other? I mean, they're never easy, but is there one that is a little simpler, less red tape?
Personally, I think the private route is the easiest, as an attorney kind of takes over the process for you. Going through the DSS route may be a little longer of a process, just because the DSS agency in itself is just so backed up. And then private agencies are completely done, with whomever agency you're using. So I feel like having a private attorney and going the private action is the easiest route, because your attorney's going to be quicker about it.
What should people be asking? Because if you're going through the foster care system, there's a certain set of questions that you need to make sure that you ask versus the other 2. But generally speaking, what should adoptive parents be asking themselves and experts, professionals in this field, to make the right decision for their families?
Yeah, so generally speaking, I think any person who's wanting to adopt or having, some other person wanting to adopt is it in the best interest of my child, and why is it in their best interest for this person to adopt this child? That's the overarching rule in a family court case. So when you come into an attorney's office, that's going to be our number 1 question, is why are we doing this for the child?
Yeah, and what are the questions that would be asked of the adoptive parents to make sure that their T's are crossed, their I's are dotted?
Yeah, so questions that I ask regularly are, how involved are you in the child's life? Have you been supportive financially of this child? How does the child refer to you to outside people? You just want to make sure that this person has actively been involved in this child's life, to ensure that the court can see that he or she is, very active, and it would be in that child's best interest for that person to adopt.
Now, are you talking about a child in the instance that a step-parent wants to adopt this child?
Correct.
Okay, what about in the case that this child has not yet been adopted?
In same instance, let's say the child is going a route where no biological parents are in the picture, and some other person has stepped up. You really want to know how active that person is. It happens all the time with same-sex couples. When you say these parents that had a surrogate, etc., they've actively been involved with that child's life, been there through the pregnancy, been there through the birth, provided financially. So the same kind of questions are involved, just different scenarios.
Okay, all right. Now moving on to the step-parent scenario, the court will grant a step-parent custody of the child when?
Yeah, so easier to get custody than parental rights, but in regard to custody, what's
the difference?
So custody wouldn't be, you just have, control, you'd be able to make decisions for the child. Actually having parental rights means responsibilities such as child support, in the event a parent ever divorced. It is a very big responsibility to take on an actual parental role for the child.
Okay, and then in the event that the judge rules for the biological parent, what would be reasons why?
So that parent's somewhat involved, trying to be involved, has provided financially, just has attempted to make some sort of effort in that child's life. A court may find that it is in the child's best interest to remain with a biological parent.
Now, going back to the situation where a person or a couple wishes to adopt a child and grow their family for the first time, is financial wealth, and when I say financial wealth, does someone have to meet a certain tier of income before that they can successfully adopt a child? Is that a huge factor?
We don't have a certain tier requirement in South Carolina. Really what happens is when someone wants to adopt a child or a minor, a guardian ad litem is appointed, which is a neutral person who's protecting that best interest of the child. So one of the questions and one of the things the court wants to know are these 2 parents in a financially well-off enough position to be able to care for this child? There's no minimum tier or anything along those lines, but we do certainly look into, do they have the means to financially support the child?
So you need to ask yourself, do I have stability in my life?
Correct.
Do I have a safe place to live?
Yes.
And
Can I
am I ready?
financially?
Can I financially
Yeah.
support in the future this person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. Well, you've given us some great food for thought just to get the ball rolling here. So
Yes.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time, Tasha.
Thank you.
We're back in 2 minutes.
Thanks.